Today we're going to do a breakfast spread. It's going to be waffles, but not just waffles. It's going to be crispy waffles. You're watching the Bear Pantry Chef. The first thing you want to do when making waffles is get your waffle iron plugged in. This is my little electric waffle iron. My Aunt Jenny gave it to me so long ago that I might have to add some butter to it to make it not stick. And so here are our ingredients. We have 1 1/4 cup of just regular vitamin D milk. This little popcorn bin that I'm using here is just to put the ingredients in. I have 2 cups of all-purpose white flour measured out. Then I've got baking powder, 3 teaspoons, and 2 eggs that are actually separated. That's the egg whites. Here are the yellows, and 2 tablespoons of sugar, and 1/4 cup of butter. And this is essentially what we're going to put together to make this waffle. So we're going to start first by adding the egg whites to the KitchenAid so that we can whip it to a meringue separately than the other ingredients. Let's begin. So I've added the baking powder already to the all-purpose flour, adding the sugar. See, it's not a whole lot of sugar, and this is actually 2 eggs, but one of the yolks broke, but it's 2 eggs to this mixture. Then we're going to add our butter, and this butter is just softened at room temperature. I didn't nuke it in the microwave or anything like that. And we start working this in, adding the milk slowly. We might end up needing a little bit more milk than this, but we're going to start with 1.25 cups. So let's add some more. We don't want it to become a dough. We want this to become a batter. And the reason that I'm using this popcorn bin or some other bin and not the KitchenAid is because the egg whites are in the KitchenAid, and I'm gonna whip that to a peak, to a meringue. So yeah, we're definitely gonna need more milk. So let's start with this until we add the egg whites, okay? So let this sit here for a minute while we move over to the egg whites to let me show you what I'm doing there. Look at my egg whites, see? It's like a meringue, like when you're doing lemon meringue pie. The reason that we separate the egg whites from the yolk and we whip the whites to a meringue is to make the waffles crispy. You know, I believe waffles should not be soggy like pancakes, because then why don't you just call them pancakes with indents on them, right? So that's only my little thing, what I like. So we fold that in, we work it in. This is too thick. We're gonna need a little bit more milk. My waffle iron is hot and ready to go. I did use a piece of paper napkin and rub a little bit of butter on it because I don't want it to stick, especially the first one. What's that thing Jada likes to say? The first pancake is always the bad one. Or the first waffle is always the bad one, right? We don't want any bad ones because this has to feed the 5 of us this morning for breakfast. This is one of our Sunday morning rituals. Saturday morning we do fried jack or fried cake. Sunday morning we like to do waffles or pancakes because that's the only time we eat carbs for breakfast in a 7-day period. So we want to put a little bit. We don't want to overwhelm this because it'll pour over and it'll drip. So it's the first couple. Put it in there to bake. And then I'll show you the finished product in a few minutes. These are only some of the waffles that I've gotten so far. Listen with the knife, see? See? This is the last batch in the waffle iron, and I got a total of 14. So while I was growing up in Belize, we used to eat a lot of fried jacks or fried cake and Johnny cakes and stuff like that for breakfast. But I remember distinctly too, they used to make a lot of waffles, and I used to enjoy it. They used to use that old school iron that you turn over the fire heart or whatever that was, but it was awesome. And did you see what I did to make it crispy? Separate the egg whites from the yolk and whip it into a meringue, and then your waffles will come crispy. Thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for picking up my book. And until I see you again, take care.